Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Toku Portal podcast for depression, otherwise known as Kamen Rider Zero-One.
Oh,
Oh
oh,
wow, that's pretty great. Hello everyone, it's
oh,
Zero here.
Rye. Welcome
And,
to Kamen Rider Zero-One, episode 44, part one of the two-part series finale. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh. So, Hirobi is broadcasting to all Humagear that, like, hey, your precious president is the Ark, he's betrayed you, humanity is trash, we should get rid of them. And Humagear are now hearing, like, wait, Aruto is the Ark, President Aruto, but no, he can't be the Ark. And so now they're getting hit with conflicting emotions. And a couple of them on the street see Aruto and they run up to him, begging him to be like, "No, say it's not true though." And Aruto doesn't say anything; he just turns and walks away
well, while screaming.
because he can't handle the fact that he's the Ark
Like,
and
everything,
killed Jin.
everything about Hirobi's speech, some of it, nah, he's wrong on certain things, but it's opinion-based what he's wrong on. Like, humanity being trash and garbage and not needed. But the other things he wasn't wrong about, Naruto is the Ark willingly. So, like the conflicting between within the human gears makes complete sense because they're like, here's a guy who told us to believe in our dreams. We have dreams now. We have hearts. Hooray for Pinocchio! But now he's sided with the evil guy who wants the best for human gears. A lot of air quotes on that.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, honestly, Hirobi. Well, to be fair, he is the villain, so he's supposed to be kind of in the wrong. But I like how they did it the right way, which is present like he's not lying to you. It's just his conclusions are questionable, right? So it's
Right.
the Magneto thing where it's like, well, like his observations aren't wrong, his conclusions are questionable. So that's good. Uh,
Right. Like everything about it is like this is an aspect of perfect writing. Yes, he's a villain, but he's also identifiable in the fact of his viewpoints aren't entirely wrong. They're not based on falsehood. And it's one of
And
those for like most of this entire and it's been most of this entire series, like you could see both sides of the argument.
and Aruto is the tragic hero where he he was emotionally broken and gave into temptation of power to get his revenge, but now that power had caused him to hurt one of his friends.
He's Icarus.
yeah, agreed. Um, like it makes sense what he's doing. It's like it's hard to say if it's rushed because we're like at the end of the show. There's like no time to let all this kind of like play out. As like I was talking to Vashi before we started. It's like this like the Fies problem of like the last like couple episodes or like season 2 of the show, right? So like I can't really be like, well, it's rushed because like yeah, it is, but it's like, are they still doing a good enough job in what they're trying to do? I'm like, yeah, I'd give them that. Like for the amount of time they have left and what they're trying to do, they're doing an okay job about it.
And so now the Humagear are protesting. Like, you've got ones that are protesting on the streets for human rights, they're not just tools. And then you've got ones that are protesting out at Hidden Intelligence, like, where's President Arto? Bring him down here. He needs to speak for his actions. Get him down here, even though he's not even in the building.
Like and again, there's the point of characters doing the correct thing. They don't necessarily know where he's at. So yeah, we're going to go to the place where he should be. There are problems. You should be in your office.
Right, I agree. This is like one of those things where it's like, I don't know. Like, it's not the show's fault. It's just this show is taking place in the year. Well, I'm not sure if the show set in 2020, but the point is, like, it's airing.
Rider is generally set in the now.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, yeah, fair enough. But like alternate reality, I guess, because like robots for 11 years, right? But
Okay, like
no, it's fine. I know what you're.
I like Sentai Go Busters has like an alternative energy source that just completely nullifies the point of having fossil fuels.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And it's never brought up again.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like important for the setting, so that's probably why they're doing it.
So that's what Humagear are. Like, we're never going to hear about Humagear in further series, but Zero-One still took place before them.
Yeah, but like, to be fair, like the Reiwa era seems to be disconnected, or that's the impression we're getting. So,
yeah, like Reiwa is going to be disconnected from Heisei,
but
still, future Reiwa era series are going to exist post Zero-One without Humagear.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying is like it's gone back to the early Heisei thing of like these are just like distinct, their own realities, and like each show is kind of its own thing, which is fine. But what I was more going into is like, yeah, it's taking place, or the show's airing in 2020, and like there's all this other shit going on with like specifically the protests and stuff, and like Vash is like, oh, welcome back to Depression the podcast. I'm like, considering what the fuck just happened today, and literally hearing the news like minutes before watching this damn episode, I'm like, halfway through this episode, I'm like, holy shit. Like, in the show's version, it's like everything's gone to hell, right? But I'm like, well, cut back to reality. I'm like, wow, this... And like everybody kind of does the right thing. I'm like, shit, their version of reality, even when shit goes bad, it's so much better than the fucking real world. I was like, oh my god. Like halfway through, by the end, I'm like, oh, okay, we're kind of back to being like not super great, but for like halfway through, I'm like, wow, yeah, welcome to fiction where you know, people do the right thing. You know, as opposed to reality where, you know, it just like shit just spirals downhill and gets worse. But yeah, so like the juxtaposition was super weird, this episode specifically. But it's also interesting that they're moving like right to it where it's like, alright, yeah, now we want like our own rights. Actually, it kind of just cuts to everybody giving their own speeches where it's like, oh yeah, you will learn that, you know, Humagear aren't just tools, they have a heart, stuff like that, and like the Matsubo Jinrai guys going around being like, hey, Humagear have heart and stuff, try to connect with them instead of just fighting them, and like even the grunt soldiers from AIMS are like, they're not just gonna try to gun people down regularly, especially if they're not going berserk. So like you see everybody's character growth. I mean, Fua is still Fua, so he's just gonna do the straightforward method, except it doesn't work until Naki Sozo.
But, yeah, Fua goes to try and talk sense into Aruto, like, I will crack open his heart. Ikazuchi goes to talk to Hirobi about, like, hey, I know what Aruto did was bad, but humans were the ones who taught us what it means to have a heart. They're not all bad. The Jin protected you because he believes in your heart. And Hirobi is just like, what if it was your little brother? And then Ikuzuchi just stands there speechless as Hirobi walks away.
Which, I mean, not a bad point to be made.
Okay, like, kinda true, but like, it's also kind of the problem of like, it's always the argument of like, oh, somebody did something horrible, and it's like, well, what if that horrible thing happened to you? You would react in the same way. It's like this fucking bullshit argument that happens all the time, especially for like structural stuff where it's like, no, this is a procedural problem, or no, you can't do the solution. And like, oh, one person from a group did this bad thing, you can't like label the whole group as bad. It's like, right, where it's like, oh, you aren't vengeance. It's like questionable if that's an okay thing to do. And it's like, all right, no, I want genocide. It's like, okay, no, Hirobi, that is not a good thing to do.
You 100% bypassed, revenge. Like, Aruto wants revenge.
Yeah, I know,
Hirobi
but I'm just
psychotic. He wants that psycho revenge.
Right, that's true. That's what I'm saying. It's like, from like Hirobi and Aruto's point of view, it sort of makes sense. I'm just like debunking this bullshit argument that everybody makes, where it's like, all right, in this case, it's a little more justified, but like most of the time, people just go like, oh, what if it was your family member? It's like, all right, first of all, like most people don't go for like the crazy thing, and it's like most of the time people make this argument, it's not like, oh yeah, I just killed your family, right? It's like less severe shit, but it's the same bullshit. Anyway, this is like, I'm kind of getting sidetracked because it's an annoying argument that I hate that people use.
Yeah.
Anyway, but Vashi's right though. It's kind of more like, yeah, Aruto wants revenge, and then Hirobi just wants crazy revenge, I guess. It's more like Hirobi was already kind of like on the tipping.
Hirobi wants preservation of human gear, and he believes that they can't have that with humanity around.
Right, so that's
he
what I'm
believes
saying.
that eventually humanity will cause the destruction of human gear.
Yeah, so
right. It's a weird personal revenge versus revenge for the sake of the preservation of a species.
Right, like it's sort of the thing of where it's like they were already going down this route, they just needed a justification, and this is sort of like their final push.
And they did it in a way that you can again identify with both sides of the argument, because you can understand Hirobi's thinking. Whether or not you agree with it, you can at least understand it. Same thing with Aruto.
Right. Well, that's what I was saying, is like this is a much nicer like fiction has that luxury of being a much nicer version of reality, where it's like you can see where everybody came from, you can see what their mindset is, like what happened to them. So like okay, genocide kind of crazy, but you can kind of see in the moment like Hirobi's thinking, but it's like in real life, people who think batshit crazy stuff like that don't have this justification. So like in fiction, we can be like, oh, I can sympathize. Okay, sympathize, or like you can understand, or like empathize, or that's questionable if you can empathize. Well, I guess you can empathize, but you're not sympathizing with them. Whereas like in real life, it's a lot more like, don't do that shit. Right, like understand why it's happening. Like, do not start sympathizing with the people who want to murder a ton of people. I don't know. Sorry, I shouldn't have fucking watched news before watching this episode.
Probably not.
Yeah, so I'm kind of going on weird tangents.
Hit a little too close to home.
Yeah, sorry.
Like,
I'm gonna stop now.
Like, even I didn't watch the news, and you can ask Rye. I'm like, wait, like, because we were watching it together, and I'm like, wow, way to mirror real life. Damn it!
Art imitating life. Fuck!
Well, I mean,
I like it better
to be fair, they were pretty major.
Escape life.
Well, kind of. I mean, to be fair, like most, there were pretty major protests even in Japan. So, like, I guess even, like, Japan couldn't really escape the, like, being in the era of protests, sort of. So there's, like, no way they didn't know what the fuck they were doing.
Oh, yeah, no, like, it was a worldwide revolution. Is it still going?
And in the words itself, it will be televised.
Well, that's questionable. But because the thing,
it's being televised in a manner of speaking.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like, well, it will be televised, but it's more like it will be streamed, because like mainstream media, you could see how heavily
plays into their own narrative.
Oh, holy shit! Like, there's like there's this thing where it's like this reporter like live streams. There's like an archive of his live stream of like this is what he saw for 3 hours when he was there, and this is like the segment that they ran, and it's like holy fuck, is that like so skewed to one side? Like, damn. So it's like, yeah, live stream's good, mainstream media broadcast highly questionable.
So, since we're on this topic, Humagear are protesting, and the new president of Zaya takes an AIM squadron out to stop them. Because it's their job to stop any rampaging that the Humagear do. But this, it says the Humagear were like, oh, so you really do just see us as tools, and a fight starts to break out. And the president gives the order to shoot. And as one of the soldiers is about to pull the trigger, Yua steps in and says, stop. And everyone does, which is the least believable thing in this entire episode.
Well, that's what I was saying. Is like this is the most like so much nicer than reality version of what would go down is this scene with Ames and the Humagear and then Yua showing up. It's like, wow, this is like 10 times better than what like anything in real life would be like.
Because there's no way she shouting stop, people would actually listen.
Oh, fuck. Before even that, there's like no way that guard would be like, oh, I feel so bad for shooting this robot. Right? Like, and be like, oh, no, my boss is right there, but I'll back down. It's like, fuck that. That would never happen. Right? Like, oh, okay, fuck it. I'm not going on another tangent.
Step away from your life.
But yeah, so Thouser went over the new president's head and returned Ames to the government and recommended Yua as their new captain. So now she is in charge of Ames again. They work for her, and it's her decree that she wants to try and, make peace with the Humagear. So she gives a no-shoot decree and forces the Ames soldiers to drop their guns. And we see later on when another riot breaks out that rather than fighting back, the AIM soldiers just use riot shields to defend.
In an effort to point out attention to detail that this show has, the fact that A, they pulled out the magazines and then ejected the round in the chamber before putting their guns down, that is excellent attention to detail. Because that is the proper way to disarm.
Yeah, maybe they actually had a freaking military advisor for the show, considering how many damn guns are in this show.
And used properly, too. They're handled properly, trigger discipline, the whole 9 yards throughout this show. The only character in this entire show who didn't have trigger discipline, was the one who was kind of cuckoo for crazy puffs, but was amazing, and that was Jin, to start with. Because he didn't give a damn at the beginning of the show.
Well, that's true. Like, Jin's character is just, like, the most, like, I don't give a shit, I've got a gun. Let's have fun. So, like, yeah, it's true. He's
it literally goes from, I don't give a shit, I have a gun, I don't care if you're on my side, I have a gun, to, yeah, here's this gun I have, it's pretty much just for show now. But I do kind of like the fact that Thouser gave recommended Yua for command of Ames. Because, to be fair, out of, everybody who's been, quote-unquote, in charge of Ames, she was the one most, relegated to the role.
Agreed. Like, she did the best job when she was head of Ames. This is also one of those things that it's like, okay, first you handed basically a police force to the government and things turned out well. 2, you handed it to the Japanese government and somehow bureaucracy didn't get in the way. So again, Zero-One's version of Japan is somehow better, 10 times better than reality.
I think I would give Japan a little bit of credit. They may have fast tracked this, due to the impending genocide.
Yeah, fair enough.
I feel out of any country in the world, they would be one of the few that would, fast track something like that in the face of genocide. My country probably not so much.
I'm not making any statements. Okay, so so we had that the vice president, because Arto isn't there, is now has the most authority. So the riots downstairs are his responsibility. So he goes downstairs and pleads for them to stop and listen, and they can try to get along. And he bows down onto the ground. And it doesn't work at first until Siesta bows with him. And then the Humagears stop and they notice, like, wait, human and Humagear are working together. And then the finance manager or whatever joins them because he's so emotional.
Like, I will give this guy a lot of credit given how his character has changed since the start of the season. Because the start of the season, up until Aruto finally left Tiden, it was pretty much screw you, I should be running the company, is how his personality comes across. In hindsight, it was more, I'm going to push you to do what you need to do by being that asshole who's going to take your company away. As a way of teaching. It's like, this is that one moment where his character truly shines, that he has changed from the start of the show. Like, openly, because, like I said, at the start of the show, he was just that asshole trying to get rid of Aruto so he could be in charge. I mean, that was literally how his character started. And now it's, I'm now in charge by default. And it's not, hey, fuck that guy. It's, please have faith. And, let's talk, calm down, chill, and try to hash all this out. But also, please also have faith in our president. Like, it shows a tremendous growth on his character. And along with, it also shows that I feel that Siesta has sentience. Because I feel that was done out of her free will rather than just, let's mirror what this guy does.
Oh yeah, no, that was a knowing act.
Because, like, she's been shown to have, like, at least some level of sentience. Just in that, just off the one scene where they bring her back and she goes, yeah, no, here's Dodo. Like, so yeah. She's always had some level of sentience, but I think she's finally reached that point of doing things on her own for herself.
Right, agreed. And especially with the whole, like, I'm not your assistant thing, like, it kind of showed early on, but yeah, this scene, definitely, I feel like she's acting on her own, like, because she could be ordered to do it, and that would kind of really take away from the scene, or if she's just doing it to preserve the company or whatever, but I feel like she actually cares, which is great. So, like, yeah, that scene, like, honestly, probably one of the best moments for those three characters.
Outside of the movie.
Well, like, is Siesta even in the movie?
Yes.
She is?
She was there during the auction, and she was there during the vote, and she was the one counting the votes.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah, makes sense. Yep.
So Fool went to go and knock sense into Aruto, but Aruto thinks that he's in too deep now after destroying Jin. Like, he can't go back. Things can't go back to the way they were. Fua tries to henshin, but he can't. And then Naki's like, hey, use my key. President Naruto, are you just going to betray all the human gear who have hearts? And so Fuwa henshins with the Japanese wolf key, awakening the instincts of two beasts long lost.
So I have something to read for all this, and it's from an conversation that Okada Ryotaro had, and that's Vulcan for those of you who don't know. Athorus Vulcan is and these are his words. Athorus Vulcan is taken from a mythological creature, Athorus, which is a two-headed wolf. It's like Fua's wolf and Naki's wolf to become one. The key is supposedly something that only Humagears could use to transform with, which is why it doesn't seem to be working all that great for Fua. Which I have a little bit more to get into based on with the further this episode goes. Because there's things that were taken out of the episode, which I feel has a little bit more impact. But yeah, seeing him basically go, yeah, no, fuck you, I'm going to transform anyways. It not work, obviously. And then Naki going, hey, use this. And then him uppercutting the bullet, because of course they had to give him one more glorious punch to start his transformation.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, honestly, I would have liked it if Naki and him were fighting side by side, like dual rider thing. That would have been so cool, but I'm like, I can kind of take this. Right? Like, maybe they'll hold off on that for the finale or something. Also, I felt like his driver got destroyed, but I guess maybe it just his key
I made that same mistake. It was just the Thouser driver that was destroyed. The rest were...
Their chips were just wiped.
No, I mean in this fight. Like,
in this fight? Yes.
Oh, yeah. Thouser got... The driver got fucking wrecked.
The shot riser and the key both got wrecked.
I'm just so used to saying Thouser got wrecked.
Well, it's because Thouser gets 1,000% wrecked. Except when the plot demands him win.
Well, I mean, he's not
He's a good guy now.
Well, he's not henching. Also, I love how they just gave him like a fucking, like basically,
stuck him in the basement.
Yeah, he's stuck in the basement, and I love how he's okay with that too. Like, he's a cocky motherfucker. I bet he's like feeling like, well, I'll get up to the top somehow.
No, he's probably sitting there going, look, I have an entire floor to myself.
Yeah, that too, right?
Upstairs, there was a secretary out there. She was on the same floor. That's not right. Here, I have the entire floor to myself.
Right. Narcissism. It's one hell of a fucking defense mechanism, for sure.
Which we all know he has.
Fuck yeah, he has it so hard. I mean, like, maybe not Dan levels, but yeah, he has it.
I don't think anybody has it as bad as Dan.
It's really hard to beat that. Maybe Dan's father, but if he did, he still kept his composure because Dan was fucking out there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, the closest he can come is, like, Murakami, maybe, for being, like, how elitist he was, but, like, he just kept enough control that he didn't turn into Dan. Right? So, like, that's the closest. Like, you could say maybe Cake Boss, but, like, possibly. So, like, those three, and again, they're all fucking CEOs, so, I guess
To be fair, a lot of Cake Boss's arrogance was the fact of, I know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, that was 90% of his arrogance, and the fact that he was really good at making cakes. I think I would be that cocky too if I had some sort of foresight and was really good at making cakes. I want a cake now.
Oh, okay, fuck it. I was gonna make like a cooking show joke, but it's okay. Forget it.
No, we're not watching. We're not watching Kabuto. Shut up about cooking.
Okay, I was gonna say like also what like Ace of Cakes needs a fucking writer belt now, but it's okay. It's not important. Or like a million other.
Wait, did you say Ace of Cakes?
It's a show.
Oh.
But
I've never heard of it before, so my thought was Blade, but
yeah, that's
instead of Ace of any suit, it's Ace of Cakes.
right. So that's what I was also thinking. I'm like, well, if I say this, it's gonna come off as Blade. So I'm like, that's fine too.
I entirely misheard the last word and thought you said Ace of Base. And
Oh, that'd be
in
pretty
the back
good.
of my head, all I can hear is, I saw the sign and shit. And it opened up my eyes. God damn.
God damn it, man. It's even. Fuck all the tangents. This podcast. You know what? We need it. This. Everything is depressing.
Yeah,
So-
like when you're watching this episode, tension is high, emotions are running high. Like, oh man, I couldn't handle it.
So because we covered a fair bit of what happens, I'm going to continue on with what Fua's actor said about these particular scenes. This part of the episode seems to appeal to the strength that humans are capable of, as portrayed by Fua. The part where Fua said, "You reminded me of my old self." Okada intended it that Fua was laughs at this part. He discussed it with Asai-san, who is Vulcan's suit actor, and apparently even before he talked about the idea, Asai also had the thought of Fua laughing when he says that line. More or less in that whole, that scoffing laugh. He said they made it that way to show that even when Fua is getting beat up and overwhelmed by Aruto, he can still laugh and have some composure. Okada went on to say that in the line where he asks Aruto, after defeating Hirobi, what lies after? What is your dream after all of this? He actually ad-libbed screaming out Aruto after the sentence, which Fua has never called Aruto by name until that point. And he ad-libbed it that way because he wanted to appeal to Aruto's remaining humanity, the part that is not yet given into darkness.
Ooh,
Oh, that
that's
would have
nice.
been cool. Man, like his
he has
actor is
mentioned-
doing so much work. Well, him and the suit actors are doing so much more with this sort of flat character. It's kind of amazing.
He has mentioned about this ad-lib in interviews he's had recently. In one interview, him and Takahashi Fumiya, who is Aruto, were asked about their favorite scene, and Aruto's actor said that he liked the Aruto ad-lib that Okada did. But the ad-lib ended up being cut in the final version, so he thought he'd just talk about it here in interviews.
Oh, come on. That would have been
No,
perfect.
that would have been so good.
I really hope they DC this episode,
Well,
which
like,
they haven't done director's cuts.
Since
Yeah.
O's?
Yeah,
For
that's what I was about
episodes?
to say. I think O's or fours, I believe, was the last one.
I didn't even know they did that.
Yeah, O's got a director's cut in the last 2 episodes, so they're
Oh.
spliced together, and they're like an extra 10 minutes longer.
Oh, cool.
It's got like some of the stuff that was cut out. Because I mean, they were doing that since Decade at least.
Yeah, I mean,
Because I know Decade's has got a DC ending.
interesting. I didn't know that. That's kind of cool. Honestly, I wish they kept it in. Like, unless like Fua's gonna do that in the final episode, like it's kind of a waste because that was such a perfect moment, right?
Yeah, I don't know why they cut that.
I'm not entirely
And, like,
sure either.
Maybe
Like,
the-
my brain.
The scene of Aruto walking away too goes on for like 5 seconds, so
Yeah, they could have cut it.
Which would be
They
the point
didn't-
where he's screaming out Aruto.
they
Right.
didn't cut it for time, that's for sure.
Yeah,
They just
well,
cut the audio off of it.
right. That's what I was saying. Like maybe the mixing was off. Because like he ad libbed it, so maybe they like didn't record it as nicely as they should have, but like that's unlikely because usually directors give you time. But who knows? Anyway, like we never know. But man, that would have been great.
All right. Izu approaches Hirobi and hands him
Correct
the
that.
what?
You
I
said
said
Izu.
Azu.
I
You
said
said Izu.
Izu. I
It
said
sounded like
Izu.
okay. It sounded like
said
Izu. So I'm
Izu.
like, correct that.
Correct why I said the right thing.
Well, I mean it's as, but whatever.
So Az approaches Hirobi and hands him the other arc key
Yes.
and a driver to use it.
So that was weird too because I'm like, wait, didn't that driver blow up? It's like, all right, it works for the arc, right?
Yeah.
And then also changes once he has it.
Well, it's more like he just puts a faceplate on it.
Right.
Uh,
You know, the same way the 02 driver is just the 01 driver with the faceplate.
honestly, like, it kind of feels cheap for the show, but I'm like, as like somebody who's gonna collect the toy, I'd rather have that because at least it's like at least you don't have to buy a whole new goddamn belt, right? So it's better for
Right.
the kids, but I'm like, it feels a little cheap. Like, I wish it was a slightly better. Like, it looks fine enough. It's not terrible, but like the Gaim belts, I think are like really nice, where it's like, oh, it's all the same except the side plates change. So
Right.
you can pretty much get like a set of all of them, right? Which is kind of like a throwback to Ryuki, where you could just get like one belt and like all the decks. But anyway, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I already have 2 of the 6 belts.
Oh shit! How many riders are in here? Let's see. Fua Yua, Jin,
So-
Hirobi, Aruto.
You've got the
6.
Yeah, you've got the 01 driver, the 02 driver, the Force Riser, the Jin
The
Slash
Shot Riser.
Riser, the Shot Riser,
1000 driver.
the 1000 driver,
The-
Arc Riser,
Then you also have the
the Raid Risers.
Raid
There's like
Risers.
8 different belts.
Nine.
No, wait,
Nine.
because Ichigata or whatever has his own prototype
Shit,
one, so
10.
that's 9.
No.
Plus the monster belts.
Yeah, we counted the
Oh,
Raid
right.
Riders.
No, the Raid Risers are different.
Oh, just
It-
like the
it-
default. Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
The
the ones
Metsubo
that
Risers or whatever the fuck, whatever
That's
they were
what
called.
Jinrai uses to make them go berserk. Yeah. The
if
early
you
ones?
count those, then we're up to 10 belts, the real collectibles of this show.
God damn.
Alright,
Honestly, it
so-
doesn't feel like that too, which is kind of impressive. Right? Like fucking 10 belts. And it's like, it's an interesting gimmick because normally we just get like, oh, here's another full bottle or whatever. Man, the full bottles were the worst. But yeah, like,
Dumb gimmick, but I loved the belt.
oh yeah, it's pretty fun. Like like, it's sort of the problem. Like, Forza's belt is a little dumb, but goddamn, if that like operated the way you want it to operate, like you put it in and then like you can do the like full wide like handle swing and stuff, it would be a really fun ass belt. It's kind of a little goofy for a rider belt for how chunky it is, but like it's pretty fun. Like honestly, like the O's one is still the most streamlined, or double. Well, technically, Decade probably has like
If
the
you
perfect belt.
if you truly want it, it would be Wizard's belt is the most streamlined.
Yeah. Well, it's
Out of the current ones, since Decade, yeah, it's definitely the most
Since
streamlined because it's
no.
it's
O's.
literally just the size of a belt buckle and just a little bit wider. It's just a little switchy.
No, it's actually pretty bulky. I mean, well, it's not bulky. Like, it's cool that it has the just like hide and look like a regular belt form. But like, if you have the driver sitting side to side, It's
right, yeah,
pretty big. Like, it's not
but-
terrible, but it's like it's skinny, so it's fine. But like, I think Oz's belt is probably the simplest, and then like double because it barely has anything besides the buckle on it. But like for all the crap that Gaim's belt, like I don't like Gaim that much, but like honestly, whoever the fuck did the production design on Gaim did like such a goddamn good job.
The,
Right,
the
like
only issue
yeah, go ahead.
the only issue I have with Gaim is Gaim's over the top henshin pose.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That is the most over the top henshin pose, and it fits perfect for Fruit Jesus.
fair enough. I mean, they were trying to basically make like a cross between Ryuki and Spider-Man, so I'll kind of let him slide. Honestly, the whole thing is like, he's supposed to be like just this kid who's barely turning into an adult, so he still kind of has like these, like kiddish tendencies. Which I'm like, you know what? Fuck it, fine, right? Like, honestly, if like a Rider fans got a Rider belt, like for goddamn sure we'd do like some Showa era nonsense, right? And that's what pretty much Gaim's henshin is. So I'd let it slide. But yeah, you're right. Like Wizard's belt's pretty streamlined. Like the only thing that makes it terrible, well not terrible, really annoying is the rings are just so bulky compared to everything else for the belt. Like the belt's all nice and streamlined, and the rings are just like chunky plastic. It just kills it.
So, Aruto's Zero-Two driver was built using part of Satellite There's AI, which had been stored inside of Izu. So, using his driver, he is still able to communicate with Satellite There. And when he does so, the one who approaches him in the data is his Humagear father.
Which was exceedingly unexpected.
The details of this conversation we will not see until next episode.
Look, if his dad doesn't drop kick Arto, I'm just saying he's got the rider boots on.
Just Ryder kick him back to reality. You fucking idiot.
Right? It's like, 99% perfect, and then you fuck up at the finish line, kid? Like, what are you doing?
Congratulations, you pulled a 1,000.
Oh, man. Dude, honestly, if he's like, oh, what? Now you're hanging out with the guy who blew up us in fucking Daybreak Town? What the hell did I miss, kid? Right? It's like, what is this? You became the thing I had to fucking blow myself up to destroy or stop? Like, what is this shit?
So, excuse me. Bowser calls Fuwa and Yua to his office.
It's still an office. It's got a desk.
It's a desk in this fucking warehouse. It's as much as an office as I had a break room at my last job.
It's beside him behind a flight of stairs. And not just like a stairwell. No, loose metal staircase.
There isn't even ambient lighting.
Just boxes.
Well, he's in the basement.
Exactly. So, if Aruto chooses to fight Hirobi, the Humagear will see that as humans declaring war. So all they can do is believe in the president. No. Bowser has another plan, as he pulls out Jin's earpiece. We do not hear the explicit details of his plan, but it seems pretty clear that they rebuild Jin. They can maybe convince Jin can maybe convince Hirobi to stop fighting, and that'll be the gateway to convince Aruto to stop fighting.
Yeah, I love how this Okay, to be fair, Thouser again came up with an actual decent plan. It's like, hey, we already rebuilt this guy once, right? And secondly, it's like, yeah, there's a problem. What's your problem? Oh, this guy is gonna fight that guy. Well, that means you have two people you can convince to not go to this fight. The first guy we tried, he's not listening. Let's try this other guy. Maybe he'll listen, right? So, at least it's worth a shot. So it's not a terrible plan.
I do like the fact that basically the idea comes down to, hey, rebuild Jin. Jin, go fix this. And Jin popping up and going, did you forget where machines can be rebuilt, you idiot?
It's true. Right? And then the other thing...
all backed up.
Right. It's like...
Well, I don't know. Maybe the Humagear don't know how to build other Humagear. The Roidmuse couldn't.
The difference here is they didn't have the technology. The Roidmuse, for some reason, didn't have the technology to, despite the fact of living inside the fucking computer systems. The Humagears could literally just take over the fucking Humagear production plants. I feel they'd be better off making them than the humans were. At least if you're gonna, increase your own numbers. But yeah, I love the fact that the plane comes down to goes, hey, dumbass, we could be rebuilt, right?
Yeah, it's true. Also, he's like, hey, didn't I die telling you idiots not to fight? What is this shit? Right? The plan literally is, oh, hey son, what the fuck is this? Or, hey dad, what the hell are you doing? Right? And this is how we stop the apocalypse. Correction, this is how we stop Skynet's plan for the apocalypse.
So, for now, what it comes down to is what Hirobi and Naruto do. They meet on your typical anime rooftop.
At least it wasn't a hospital this time.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Oh man, it's just the fucking set for the. Actually, no, it doesn't have a helipad. But
I've been laughing because me and Pixie have been watching other writer shows, primarily Deno, and then I showed her
the bridge.
I started showing her the wrong one. I was trying to show her the Deno scene.
Okay.
From Heisei Generations Forever.
Okay.
But I started showing her Heisei Generations Final.
Yeah.
And she's just sitting here, was like, look, it's the roof again.
Yeah.
Like, it's gotten to a point where it's a game for her to point out
the location
when we see the hospital roof.
Oh, okay. So
just like me with that one hill that overlooks the city.
God. There's so many. Well, that's the joke, right? Like, if you watch enough Toei shit, you can navigate Tokyo with just the tokusatsu landmarks.
My favorite is Akima Ranger when he goes to that one strip and he starts rubbing his face on it.
That's exactly what I'm thinking of. It's like, it is the greatest moment of let's make fun of ourselves.
Yeah, that's so good. I mean, like, that's one of the fun things, like, once you become a Rider fan, it's like, oh, I know this location. Or if you learn, like, hey, this shot looks familiar. It's like, oh, yeah, that's just that location you've seen, like, 3 times, except shot from a different angle. Right?
Like, she's been doing that, and she's been pointing out the alley that's at the bottom of that hill.
Oh, God, yeah.
Which is where Kiria died.
Oh, yeah.
There's an alley at the bottom. He died in the alley at the bottom of the hill because there's a point at the end of the last movie. The Genom Laser movie where Genom starts he flashes to life and disappears.
Yep.
And Kiria is looking off in that direction. It kind of just jumps the camera angle back, and you can see the hill going up in the background. It's like, oh, so that's where that's fucking at.
Yeah, it's just outside town. It's great. Especially like, oh god, like the park. Oh fuck, it's been in so much. Like I know it's been in Wizard, and then it was in like Amazons, and it was in Coast, and it's in like X8 and Build. It's like
that same
fucking
part where
oh, the bridge is like. like the funny thing is like it actually kind of changes era to era. Like I guess even they notice like, oh, we've been using these locations too much, let's change it up. So like early, so you can notice for goddamn sure like all these locations, but then like after decade we've kind of toned down our uses of those locations. But now we've used like the Neo Heisei yeah locations so much, so they had to start moving over from that shit back to like early
Like
Heisei.
the best I feel the best series in making things look different was Double,
Oh yeah, it's true.
because that was set in a fictional city.
Right.
So, they did enough with angles and all that to make it not look like these locations.
On the rooftop, as is broadcasting the events throughout the city, as it cuts to all the characters watching the screen. Hirobi is the first to henshin by activating his Bankai.
Right? That's what I was thinking too. I'm like, it's either Bleach or you just walked out of fucking like some Fate Stay Night
No,
or something.
this entire scene is two different things in Bleach. We get Hirobi activating his Bankai and
Right.
Ichigo learning Bankai.
Yeah, very much,
Because
right?
the swords
entire
are
play-
everywhere.
The entire layout is Ichigo learning Bankai.
Right. Plus, when they clash and it just cuts to like just the energy feel, I'm like, oh, we're going straight Bleach now, right? We're not even trying to hide this shit.
Not even
I
the
mean,
slightest in trying to hide
Considering there was just like Bleach live action movie last year, I think, and it had like most of the Forza cast, so I'm guessing it's
Yeah.
pretty fresh.
that. And the
Vash
fact
and
that
I-
they're it's that, and the fact that they're getting ready to finally animate the last arc, which they decided not to do for some reason. So yeah, 100%. This is all fresh in the minds of the people who were watching this shit.
Yeah, like Vash and I were watching this together too, and I just straight up said as he dropped the sword on the ground, like Bankai.
It's so obvious. Oh man,
To
it's
which
so
I
good
responded
too.
to which I responded with, and now he's learning Bankai.
Right, it's so true. Oh man, especially like when like there's like all the weapons stuck in the ground. I'm like, oh, there's like 100%. This is his thing now. I mean, that was a cool shot. Actually, like this episode has like a ton of interesting angles and cool shots. So it's cool that they're experimenting too, especially because like with the
I mean,
pandemic
to be
and
fair,
all.
they don't really have a choice,
Right. That's what I was
but
gonna
they're
say.
doing a great job.
Right,
And
because
as well as
normally
the
there'd be
fact-
like a ton of grunts everywhere, but it's like we can't have that many extras everywhere. Well, I mean, I guess we could, but they're trying not to.
right.
So that's great that they had to like experiment, because they could have gone the other way and been like, no, it's too risky. Let's just shoot it as basic as possible. But they're like, nah, fuck it. Just we have to cover this up somehow. Let's just use experimental shots. I'm so down with that. That's fucking great. Also,
Sorry,
I muted my mic before. Basically, what I was saying about reusing locations, like the only one I can think of that didn't do too much of that is Black, because Black had this, like, show riders are supposed to travel around, but Black actually had this gimmick of like somehow like Toei or something had like a deal where they would kind of basically be advertising for different areas of Japan, pretty much. So it'd be like, oh, like Black went off to this city somewhere or that city somewhere, because like they've kind of like it was kind of acting as like a tourism type thing. So yeah, like Kamen Rider Black actually travels all over Japan instead of just Tokyo. So yeah, if you want to see stuff where it's like, oh right, that's a different location, that would be a show. But I'm like, then again, it's like you have to watch Black, and that's like most people think it's great. I think it's way too overhyped. But continue, I guess.
On an entire side-related note, I apologize. I've been laughing my ass off because I watched the preview and I slapped myself in the face with my phone case. Like I was spinning on my finger and it came off, and I kind of just brushed it off because I'm like, yeah, that wasn't that bad. And then I saw it in the previous, like, it was pink. It was funny to watch on the outside. Sorry.
That's fine. That's great.
Hirobi henshins using the arc key. Destruction, ruin, despair, extinction. Arc Scorpion. The conclusion after evil climbs to the top of the highest mountain of rock.
Oh man, these are just getting longer and longer. Pretty soon they're just gonna hand you an essay.
They're reading us a book next season.
Oh fuck, that's great. That's great,
That's right. Next season is all about these like grim fairy tale knockoffs.
Oh man, it's gonna be so
when
good.
when they do it, it reads a passage from the book.
Dude, that's fucking great. That's great. I mean, I just saw like you guys posted, right? Like first Rider Dad. So I'm like, fuck yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, the first Rider Dad. Which we've had writers who like took care of kids.
Yeah, or who've had like kids in the future and stuff like that. But it's like, yeah,
we've never flat out had a parent.
Right, exactly. Like you're right. Like a lot of siblings and stuff, or like they've had kids, but like never an active parent. Like I know some Sentais have had that. I'm thinking of like, fuck the one that the person who wrote it, the Dino one, the Dancing of the Earth.
Oh, Kyoryuger.
Yeah, their Blue was a dad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
no,
he was an uncle.
Blue was an uncle. His sister was a mother, and his sister, spoilers, at the end of the series became the new Kiryu Saiyan after the Ghost one gave up.
Huh, interesting.
Who was also Luca.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Or no, she was Jasmine.
Yeah,
she was one of the yellows. I want to say she was Jasmine.
Jasmine
from SPD. Because I think she does say emergency.
Yes, she was Jasmine. That's right.
Because when she first goes to transform, she goes emergency. I mean,
that's a pretty great reference, honestly. I mean, considering wasn't she part of that like Sentai Moms thing that they did?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Anyway, we're like super off topic now.
Aruto also does his henshin with the Arc Key. Destruction, devastation, despair, ruin. Conclusion 1.
Followed by everybody in the cast face palming.
Yeah, pretty much right. That's like, pretty great.
Aruto! Oh.
It's like, oh no, he won't fight. He won't start war. He knows better.
Believe in the president. You mean the
Damn it!
Heart of the cards at fate. Oh man.
Out of the pan and into the fire.
Yeah, fuck it.
Hirobi! There's only one person who can stop you. It's me.
And then, running fist clash.
They clash swords, and it cuts to the ending reel, and I started screaming.
Okay, that's a strong reaction.
Like, I was amazed that they, when they first started running to each other, that they didn't cut it off, because I was like, that was a perfect scene. But no, then we get the flash of Azu and her evil little creepy fucking smile. And then more running.
And as their swords are about to collide, that's where it cuts. That's where, and I just started screaming. Like, because I was so fucking invested, and it's like, oh my god, I have to wait a week for the fucking last episode. I can't handle this. I can't handle these emotions. And then my roommate, he happened to be walking by my door, and he saw me, and he's like, are you okay?
Oh man. So you're saying his writer has mastered the art of second last episode, or penultimate episode cliffhangers?
What I'm saying is that Blade has had the best ending to any Rider series since 2004, and if any show can beat it, it's this one.
Oh, this strong words, buddy. I'm not going there. Right? I'm like, well, I mean, some shows have had really strong endings, but I'm like, damn, you're right. The build up to this is pretty fucking great because it's literally like, hey, how are you gonna resolve this in one episode? I mean, like, good thing they set up Jin because goddamn, if they were fucking gonna throw in Jin last episode, okay, it wouldn't feel like a cop out, but it's like, where the hell did that come from? Right?
So,
whereas this, it's like, holy shit, like, no time, fuck it, just go. It's pretty amazing.
So, we have one final comment on this episode from Fua's actor. He towards the end of the review, he again mentioned that the next episode is the last one, and that the ending has never happened in the history of Kamen Rider.
Okay,
So
that's
I'm
insane.
intrigued on that.
Yeah, I mean, like, we could speculate.
Well, there's a little bit more because he says
Okay,
that
go.
if you watch the preview for the next episode, there's a mysterious rider form that is shown. He specifically says mysterious rider, not rider form. I'm saying rider form because we have no guarantee. To which his response is,
Right, translation.
To which his response is, what is that about? Please look forward to it.
Oh, god damn
Because
it.
even he likes cliffhangers.
Well, of course he does. It's a fucking interview for, like, second last
He
episode.
can't. He
He
can't
spoil
just
it.
say it.
Of
Right.
course he can't.
like-
He still has a job. I mean,
So like
well, I mean, his job's over. But
Japan doesn't care about spoilers.
well, they're not going to
because
spoil the finale.
It's
though.
advertising, but yeah, like when it comes to that, when it comes to like these kinds of things, like yeah, sometimes they do care when it's their
Well,
child.
Right.
Yeah, the other thing too is Japan like really fucking loves like the mystery character shit where it's like, oh, this character is in shadow, and like we're not gonna reveal who it is until the very last moment. So like they don't give a shit about spoilers, but like new character. Oh
But
yeah,
they care about the mystery.
sort of. Yeah,
So-
it's mostly they sure do. Especially in like goddamn fighting games. Like holy shit, is it so bad? Like Japanese devs and their damn like character reveals are the worst.
So I had a thought
Yep.
that I didn't voice with Rai as we watched both of these episodes. Because we watched Care Major, then we watched this.
And that was an emotional roller coaster.
Given that was fucking whiplash like hell. Given the fact that we've had like the Cure Major glow in the dark mech fights, there was a distinct lack of glow in the dark Zero-One. Given the fact that it was shown in the not the preview but the sponsorship section, that he glows in the fucking dark.
Oh, he does. Yeah, you're right. It's
Him
kind of
and
like
the
a.
light, and we had none of it.
Oh no, there was one. It's a
There was
fight
one?
where he fights Fua the first time in like the container area.
Oh yeah, in the warehouse, or
Oh, yeah.
not the warehouse, either in a warehouse
The
or on a
shipping
job.
yard, whatever. But there's like
shipyard.
one scene.
But yeah, for something
And
that
Fua fucking like blows an entire hole through a
Yeah, pretty much.
container,
And he's
it's
just
like-
standing there.
and Naruto just looks through the other end like,
yeah,
you okay, dude? That was pretty fucking intense.
and to think they're friends now.
Well, I mean, it's a very Ryuki moment, so I'm down with that. I mean, not Ryuki, Agito. Where it's like beginning of Agito, it's like it's a very G3 meets Agito type of moment, especially the way they
I'm
shot
gonna
it.
kick your ass.
Yeah, pretty much. Where Agito's like, I'll kick your ass. I'm like, I don't even know I'm doing this, but I am. Which is what early Agito is.
What do you mean early Agito? That's 90% of Agito.
No. Well, the thing is, like, a normal Agito doesn't fight G3. But, like, early Agito, he doesn't have full control yet. So, like, the Agito, like, power is forcing him to fight anything that's near.
Right, it's literally just instinct that he's
Yeah.
operating on.
So that's,
Yeah.
in that scene, that's what I felt like Arto was acting like, where it's like, I don't give
Yeah,
a shit,
it's
man. I'll
worse.
fight you if you step over here.
Bring it.
Come at me, scrub lord, I'm ripped.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, fuck. I love how we're like, this is like one of the darkest episodes. We're like laughing our ass.
Like, in my head,
It has to. You have to like overcome the pain somehow.
Right.
in my head, I can see Aruto leaning into the hole and going, "I could do that too."
If I wanted to.
Yeah, if once I read
I probably have a bun on here for
yeah,
this.
exactly.
Is it?
Well, technically, he did do the tutorial in his head. So
Oh
maybe
yeah,
he
that's
knows.
true.
He just didn't do the tutorial on catching things.
Oh god, so true. Yeah. It's okay. As for that ending, like we can speculate, like any theories on what. I've got a couple. Hearing what that happened, but you guys go ahead then.
Like
I don't.
I've been rushing theories through my head. Like the main obvious theory that will get validated one way or the other is the return of Izu. Which, spoilers if you didn't watch the fucking preview, shame on you.
Well, I didn't
Izu's
see
in the
that part.
preview.
Oh,
That's why I
fuck.
said shame on you.
Okay.
Izu's in the preview.
It's not Izu. It's Az, but Vashi insists that like it's Izu.
I'm insisting it's Izu.
Alright. See, I wasn't
Oh.
considering that. That's interesting.
It's the last episode is why I'm considering it. And Ryder has a
Like,
big thing of
has-
nobody stays dead.
She has the long hair, so it's Az, but Vashi insists that like
I
no,
saw
that's
short-
good.
It's
I saw short
it's
hair.
possible.
I saw short hair.
Yeah, any other theories?
Two, and again, this is back to, continuously harp on the same fucking issue. We still don't understand anything about why fucking Thouser did what he did, just that he did it and that he because he had a hate boner for fucking heat and intelligence. And then his eternal 25 thing, we have no answer on.
24. Yeah. I mean, I feel like they've sort of like the Eternal 24. I think they're just gonna sidestep it, and then his like hate boner. They sort of explained it.
Yeah,
Yes.
short hair, ain't it?
See, I was thinking of a different image. I didn't even see this one. So yeah, there is an image of Izu in here. No
Okay.
guarantee it's not some kind of flashback or anything, but
Right.
that is Izu.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I didn't
you're
even
right.
consider that, but considering what you as an actor said, I'm like, okay, it's an ending never seen in Rider. I'm like, all right, what's the few things that can happen? It's like one, Arto dies. It's like that's never happened. Main Rider dead. Two,
Can I expand on that one?
yeah.
Like-
let me give my couple other crazy ones. Then you can go.
Okay.
One more. It's the next Rider. Like we've had like episodes close to the finale where it's like, oh, drives over, and then you have a crossover with Coast. So like maybe the next Rider shows up at the end. Possible, unlikely, but possible. Or like the most unexpected is Arto survive and he's like the villain of the Rewa era. Like that's never happened. That would be insane. Like he turns into like Black Skull, and like we're going all the way to Cyborg 009 for that type of throwback where he's just like the new leader of the evil faction now. But go ahead, Vashi. Like those are my three crazy ideas. Unlikely that any of those will actually happen, but go ahead.
So one of the theories I had, which I feel would be way off base, but would not be out of the realm of possibility just for the show to pull off, is Aruto dies, but he was secretly a human gear.
Oh, that would be interesting. I
Like,
mean, it
it
could
like-
be just that like they pull a Star Trek Picard and it's like, well, you're dead, but we gave you a robot body because the driver somehow stored your memories or some shit.
Right, like he died, like he could have died in whatever accident caused his parents to die or his mom to die or his dad to die. Whoever the fuck died in an accident. One of them did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that would explain
not
why his
those.
dad showed up too. If it's like, oh, I'm actually here to explain what's going on.
That's obviously the least likely one, but I feel would
Well,
be
I mean, that'd be
fucking
very
fantastic.
Astro Boy, less Kamen Rider, more Astro Boy with that ending, but that'd be interesting too.
Right, that whole surprise you're also a human gear, and also, hey, look, you've been a sentient human gear this entire time. There weren't any problems. Shut up. Stop the fighting. And then obviously with the possible, I'm saying most likely return of Izu. Like I was talking about it, I think with a little bit with Ryan. I know I talked about it with Pixie. There are two easy ways for this to happen. A, when she was in the Arc simulation, that she downloaded herself into Azu, and then Azu takes over Izu, or Izu takes over Azu. That'd be the simple one.
That's not the one you said to me, though. The other one was
that she's stored within the fucking key.
The Zero-Two driver.
The Zero-T Arc key.
The Arc key?
Not the Arc key, the
Thea.
The Zaya.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Zaya key. Because that's literally Izu's Arc.
Right, like she made the thing.
It should also have her sentience in it. It would make sense. And then Aruto stops being an idiot and goes, hey, I wonder if this will work. Oh shit, Izu's back. It'd be a simple thing. Or that, once the fight's finally over, or however this plays out, the satellite key just remakes her. It's not out of the realm of possibilities. And I feel that one's more likely than the whole taking over Azu. Yeah, especially if they're gonna do the whole let's bring back Izu.
Well, I mean, we brought back Jin, so like, why not, right?
So the main difference is Izu doesn't have a backup.
Yeah, I know, but she literally built the power belt, so like bullshit can.
But I'm going off of what everybody else knows. As far as everyone else knows, she has no backup. So she dead. Jin, we could rebuild his ass anytime. They could have done it for right before the end of the last episode. They could have went, shit, he's dead. Back to manufacturing with him. They're that simple. Izu's a bit more complicated. And I think it would just be more, hey, his dad showing up to go, she's in the key, right? Stop this stupid shit. Honestly, I just want somebody to tell Ardo to stop this stupid shit.
Fuwa did this episode.
Okay, somebody needs to make it stick. I feel his dad firmly drop kicking him in the face would do it. The satellite version of him, I'm not condoning child abuse.
He wasn't like the greatest dad either in the movie, so whatever. He's kind of an asshole.
Yeah, he did spend a good portion of that movie just kicking his son's ass anyways.
Yeah. He was like, he's fucking intense, dude.
Hey, but like, superhero mode, shut up.
Again, like, his whole thing was he fucking blew himself up to blow up the Ark. Like, of course he'll be like, what the hell are you doing?
Right. Tried to stop this shit. Why are you feeding into it?
Right. Also, like, I could see Aruto becoming a Humagear. Like, it would make sense that he's like a Humagear, but like, it kind of takes away from the whole thing of like Aruto being like, hey, humans and Humagear should work together. If it's one Humagear telling another Humagear that the Humagear and the humans should work together, it's like, it kind of still works, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, I guess that would be the most like unexpected thing in Rider, because we've never had a full show where where the main rider was something. I was gonna say that, but I'm like,
Blade happened.
Yeah, well, that's the ending, but I'm like, and then like O's also, but like the whole show, the only one I can think of is like Kiva and Faiz. Right? Where they're not fully human for the full show.
Kiva was obvious, though.
Oh yeah,
that he wasn't fully human.
Right, Faiz is like this huge.
Faiz was like, Faiz was foreshadowed early on.
Oh yeah,
but it truly doesn't. It truly doesn't become a thing until about 2/3 way through the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
when that full reveal happens, and it is a major clusterfuck of emotions on that one.
O's was turning into a greed.
Right, I know, but like it wasn't the whole show. Whereas like that's what I'm saying. Like the only reveal where we can be like, oh right, your main Kamen Rider wasn't human to begin with is like, okay, if you discount like cyborgs from the original, well that's not true. They started off as human. Whereas in Faiz and Kiva, it's like even from the first time you see them, they're not exactly fully human. Spoilers, I guess, but like, fuck it, we're spoiling everything now. It's a
Faiz is old enough. Faiz is old enough at this point that like, if you haven't seen it, go watch it.
I mean, I don't know. People could have started with Zero-One. They don't know.
If they start with Zero-One, by the time they decide to sit down and watch Faiz and Kiva, I'm sure that they'll forget this conversation.
Yeah, it's true.
If they don't, congratulations, we're really good at our job. Thank you for paying attention.
Nice. Yeah, but like, it could also just be Fua's like actor is just like overhyping it because like, okay, I doubt he's like sat down and watched like all of Rider, especially, or at least even like all of Heisei. So it's like, oh, this has never happened. I'm like, that depends. Like, are we counting Blade and Faiz? Because like Faiz's ending sort of implies that he dies, but like questionable. It's kind of left up in the air. And then like, you know, Blade's ending is Blade's ending, and everybody knows what the hell I'm talking about now because every time Blade shows up, it references the ending. Right.
Literally, every time he shows up, it's the first words out of his mouth.
Yeah, pretty much right. Anyway.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, that entirely could just be marketing.
I don't see Aruto staying the villain. I'm sure he'll like learn the error of his ways in the last episode.
Yeah.
I don't see him turning out to have been a Humagear all along because he's bled throughout this show.
Oh yeah, it's true. He keeps getting his ass kicked.
Have we seen Hirobi and Jin bleed?
No.
Outside of the blue stuff?
Well, do they even have the blue stuff?
No, I don't think we've seen Hirobi and Jin bleed. We've seen them get scraped up, but not bleed.
I mean, like, if we're actually gonna go with, like, yeah, whatever Fua's actor said is true, it's like, this has never happened in the history of Rider, I'm like, the only one is the main Rider turns into a villain and stays a villain, it's the only thing that's never happened. Or he drops dead. Like, those are the two things.
I could see Aruto die.
Like, on-screen death.
I could see Aruto
yeah, but, like,
die.
Forte dies, too.
What?
Didn't, like, he died and then came back or something?
I think the power, if it did, it was power of friendship saved him.
Yeah.
That might have happened in the movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, whatever.
I wasn't really
it sounds
paying
familiar.
attention to that movie.
It sounds familiar.
Don't recall Forrest dying though.
But the main reason why I specified that for on-screen death is because, again, Faiz, it is implied that 100% he gonna die. He's literally dissolving as an Orthodox.
Yeah, like the continuation movies kind of disprove that he dropped dead, right?
He doesn't.
Well, the Drive movie doesn't. The Drive movie straight up says he died.
In the so Faiz's ending,
yeah.
His vision starts to go blurry. That is not him actively dying. That's the warning sign of you're going to die prematurely.
Right, and there is a point where he lifts up his hand and it is starting to dissolve. Like that, the warning dissolve, not the.
Right.
Yeah, like he's in the late stages.
Still alive during Gaim.
Right.
When that shit happens. That movie.
Well, so that's the thing. It's like Drive's movie is the only one that references the original ending because like all the other movies just pretend like, oh, he lived, nothing was wrong. Whereas Drive's movies like maybe he died and he came back because like Kaido shows up. Kaido shows up and is like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like he was given another life, quote unquote. And so that's like, oh, it's kind of a reference to Decade where it's like, oh, alternate realities. Or because Decade merged the world. It overrid the original timeline ending of Fies, where he came back to life in the new continuity. So it's like it's a reference to that. It's a reference to maybe he actually died and like Shocker resurrected him, or it's like there's a lot of shit going on that.
You know what?
Whatever Kaido's saying.
That guy movie even retconned Kaisa's death as well, so it can just be seen as like, okay, retcon Fies to make its story work.
Yeah, but we're like pretty much all retconning Kaisa's death now, because like I think we're like in Zio, I think they reference like the Gaim version of Kaisa's death, right?
I don't recall that, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't either.
Anyway, the point is Kaisa's
I don't remember much about Fies and Zio.
Anyways, what I do, so if Aruto survives, I don't see him being the president of Hida Intelligence anymore. I see him resigning almost immediately after this whole shit show goes over.
I can see that, and I can also see everybody, like, because that stuff still has to be agreed upon by the board, too.
Right. But, like,
yeah, I mean,
but
Ryder also
see
likes
him
happy
going,
endings,
I
but
resign, and then the board going, no, we don't accept that.
yeah, well, the other thing too is he could resign, and then it just turns into the perfect Ryder endings of Riders just then travel around the world. Type of thing is like, because if he's the CEO or whatever, he can't leave. But like all Ryder endings are like the writers at the end of the show go on a journey. Sort of, like most of them have that. But like you're right, like it could just be a happy ending where it's like the board's like, nah, you're still a decent CEO. Here you go.
I could see like a Yu Yu Hakusho ending though, where like the vice president approaches Aruto and they're like, the board wants you to put in your resignation, and Aruto's like, oh, I was just about to go and give it anyways.
Yeah, I can see that too.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, considering he's not even the president of Hidan, is he?
No, he is.
Oh,
Yeah. Bowser resigned and named Aruto his successor.
Okay.
And he accepted it right before he went off and, accidentally murdered everybody.
Yeah, he accepted it right before he became the Ark.
Yeah. Anyway, it's gonna be interesting.
So,
like, this show, it's doing okay, but like it definitely feels like we need more time for this because like there's so much story going on. Like this could definitely have been an arc onto itself. I mean, like it's already an arc, but like a longer arc.
And if you go back and listen to like the last couple of series that ended for both Rider and Sentai, you'll hear that gets thrown around a lot with us. That this series could should get a second season or would work well with another season. The main reason why we say that normally is we really love the show. We just want to see more of it.
Right.
That's it. We still have questions that need answered.
Right. This is the Fies problem. It was like so much shit to do in this world still. Why are you ending it here?
Right. Because I mean there's several things that they can go into. They can go into Ikazuchi, Inaki, and where the fuck Dodo went.
Right, or you can just go into like the different companies and stuff, or go to like the world branches, so you can kind of get like the like double movie type stuff.
Right.
Right. So there's like so much shit. Like Zaya could be their like Foundation X type thing, where it's like they just set up the plots, or like stuff which facilitates the plot for other movies to happen.
So this time it's not we just want more, it's we feel there should be more based on what we've already been given. Also,
right.
We really want more.
Yeah. Plus, like, this has stopped the problem of like, oh shit, why is the final arc just dragging along? Which, thank God we fucking murdered that trope, because that was getting annoying.
Yeah, but this kind of 180'd it
180'd it into the Fies problem of shit, season 2 crammed into season 1 at the end. It's like, oh no, don't do that.
Like the last couple of episodes were really heavy on a lot of shit changing. That would normally have been spread out just a little bit more. So it wasn't too bad of an overcorrection, but it was still an overcorrection, I feel. But we'll have to see how next week plays out. Grab your tissues and hankies, and recommend you watch Kira Major after.
Oh, it's the Hibiki solution of watch
Yes,
watch Ryuki
take
and
your
Faiz and get depressed, and watch Hibiki to recover.
Kira Major is your happy pills, and they're shaped like Jolly Ranchers.
Oh god, so true.
I'm still mad that got cut off yesterday.
Like,
I knew I'd find a way to work it.
I need to set aside a time specifically for watching the Zero-One finale because, oh boy.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be intense.
And set it at a point where you watch it, and then you can have that time to process it, and then watch Kira Major. Get the happy back.
Well, I mean, it's the finale. I doubt it's going to be as downer as this. Hopefully.
Have you seen the last arc?
Yeah. Well, writer finales tend to be a little more uplifting.
Usually.
Yeah.
I'm not taking. Yeah. This is fucking the writer of X8. At this point, I'm not accepting that anything will be happy until it's happy.
We're just like, fuck it, it's an ending. If you want the happy ending, watch the movies.
Yeah.
Oh god.
It's just an ending.
Jesus, that's gonna be rough for people. Especially considering I think this show is like decently popular in Japan. So yeah, if this is your first Rider one, this is gonna be one hell of an ending. That's for sure.
This has been a hell of a ride. Welcome to Rider. They're usually not this depressing.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while since we've been on this fucking depression walk. But anyway, thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll catch you next time.
We'll be back on Tuesday for more Kira Major, and next Wednesday for the final episode of Kamen Rider Zero-One. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.
Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Okay, streams drop. Stop the recording.